Lesson 4.1 is congruent polygons. Polygons that have congruent corresponding angles and sides. So we want to make sure that we have corresponding angles and sides that are congruent. So if we look back at what we did in Chapter 9, if we translate, they stay the same shape. If we reflect, they stay the same shape. And if we rotate, they stay the same shape. So they are the exact same size and shape. A congruent statement is a statement naming the two congruent figures, and we've talked about this a little bit already. You have to make sure your order is matching. So A matches to E, B matches to F, purple to purple, green to green, and then you have your congruent symbol in between. So then all your corresponding sides are together, red, blue, purple, green at the end, purple, green at the end, and so on. The two quadrilaterals are congruent. Use the picture to answer the following. So what is the congruent statement? So I'm going to do some drawing here. Looks like K matches to O, J matches to N, and I is the smallest angle, matches to M. So once I have that set, then I can make my statement. So I'm going to say K, J, I, H is congruent to O, N, M, L. So then our corresponding angles, angle K is congruent to angle O, angle J is congruent to angle N, angle I is congruent to angle M, and I think they need another space there. Angle H is congruent to angle L. So those are the angles that match, and they're also congruent. Then we need our corresponding sides. So the top is KJ, is congruent to ON or NO, it doesn't matter. And these are segments, so I need to have the segment bar on the top. JI is congruent to NM, and again, those are segments. IH is congruent to ML, and the last pair, HK, is congruent to LO. Given the following congruent statement, what do we know about the corresponding parts? Be careful of the order. So angle P is the last one, so it's going to match with angle E. CD is here, so that's got to match with NO. B is second, M is second, ML second and first, BA second and first. So we go C, B, A, E, D. So then I want to start at N and go and then come back. So it's going to be N, M, L, T, O, N. Oh, and I don't need to write that N a second time. So P, O. So order is very important. Given the congruent statement, list the corresponding parts. So now we have a triangle, so notice how they use the shape for a triangle. When we have a four-sided figure, you don't have to do the shape, but triangles, you do a triangle. So corresponding angle, angle W is congruent to angle M. Angle Y is congruent to angle K. Angle F, the third one, is congruent to the third one, angle V. And then we have three pairs of corresponding sides because it is a triangle. So first and second are congruent to first and second. Second and third are congruent to second and third. And then 3 and 1 are congruent to 3 and 1. So in my head I was thinking first, second, third spot, first, second, third spot. So here's a theorem to add to your word bank. If two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another, then the third angles are congruent. So if we have this picture where angle B and angle E are congruent, and angle A and angle D are congruent, by the third angles theorem, C has to be equal to F. So the third angles theorem proves that a third angle is congruent. So we have our one proof for today. And this is going to be a little bit messy, so at the end, if you'd like Mr. Fox to project this, just ask, and he can put it under the AVERvision. So we're going to get our givens written in there, and we have room to write them separately, so we'll write them in two separate spots. So LM is congruent to LO, so we haven't even read the proof yet, we're just getting our givens written down. And MN is congruent to ON. These are both given. So let's make some markings, or actually they're already done for us. So LM and LO, and then MN with 2 hash marks and ON with 2 hash marks. So for two triangles to have to be congruent, we have to show that all the sides are the same and all of the angles are the same. And what we have right now, here is a side and here is a side. And then down here we're going to get it some more angles. So far we're going to need a total of 3 angles and 3 sides. We're going to need 6 things. And right now we have 2 things. So let's keep going. Angle M is congruent to angle O. And I think I'm going to sneak this one on here just in case we run out of room. Angle MLN is congruent to angle OLN. And again, those are already marked on the picture. So here we have an angle and an angle. So again, another reminder, when we're proving two triangles congruent, today all we know is that we have to show that all 3 sides are congruent and all 3 angles are congruent. So right now we have 2 pairs of sides and we have 2 pairs of angles. So what we need is, we need this angle to match with this angle. And how are we going to get that third angle to be congruent? By the third angles theorem. So let's get that written down. And we can't just say angle N because there's 2 angle N, so we have to use our 3 points. So angle MNL is congruent to angle ONL by the third angles theorem. And then going back up here, this one was given. So this is our other angle. So now we have all 3 angles congruent, and now we just need that third side. So how do I know that LN, if I separate these triangles, there's the top one, and there's the bottom one. So this is LN, and this is also LN. So I know it seems kind of weird, but we need to say that it is congruent to itself. And remember, I told you we had one of those in our list. So how do we know that something is congruent to itself? It starts with an R. It's reflexive. So there is our third side. So I'm just going to mark it. 1, 2, 3. So now we have all 3 sides congruent to the 3 sides down here. All 3 angles congruent to all 3 angles. So now we can say that the triangles are congruent. So triangle LMN is congruent to triangle LON, just like it's given in the proved line. And what we did was we just said that we had to show all sides and angles are equal. Because of the definition of congruent triangles, all sides and all angles had to be equal, and that's what we showed. Tomorrow and on Thursday, we will have some more shortcuts to doing this, so we won't have to show all 6 things. Number 1, given triangle QXR is congruent to triangle NYC, so we have to find our corresponding parts. So QX is going to be congruent to NY, and angle Y is congruent to angle X. Try number 3. Any questions with those 3? So that's angle A, RL, CKLU. Example 2, in the diagram we have 2 congruent quadrilaterals. We have to find the value of X and the value of Y. So X matches with this side, so we'd have to find the corresponding side. So GH is the last 2, so we're looking at LM. So that should be 8. So our first equation is 2x minus 3 equals 8. So we add 3, divide by 2, and we get 11 halves. And I would just leave it as 11 halves. Then we have to find our y. So y matches with angle E, so that's the first one. Then we're looking at angle N, so this and that. So we have 7y plus 9 equals 72. So 7y equals 63. So our y is equal to 9. So y is 9 and x is 11 halves. So that concludes all of the notes for today. So what you guys need to do is page 222, numbers 10 through 42. I'll take questions on it tomorrow, and tomorrow I will also go over your tests. Make sure that you have handed in all of your computer work. So that means your stamp activity, your fold and punch, and your F activity. Your F activity was where you had to flip your F on Geometry Sketchpad. It was on the back side of your stamp activity. So all of that was supposed to be handed in last Wednesday. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.